Good evening, everybody. It's Liam again. I am back with a July 2023 hobby update. I know I have been not as frequent with the episodes as I would have liked when I started making these, but sometimes life gets in the way. So I am going to switch over here. My progress sheet, which now has more conditional formatting, shows that there has been a fair amount of progress made on my now 7 kill teams. I've added a 7th team since the last time I was here to talk to all of you. It also adds, since I've started playing some games, it adds a game tracker where I can track which operatives I fielded in a game, who lived, who died, the winning of the game. When I played my one game, I played against a guy who was also on his very first game of Kill Team. So we were both brand new, and we decided to eliminate all of the secondary objectives and the TAC ops and the spec ops and all of the more advanced scenario related stuff, and just make sure we had the movement, the shooting, the line of sight, the close combat, all of that stuff down. And so we just said, let's play a game where we just try to eliminate each other. And I ended up beating his Grey Knights with my Death Watch and only losing 3 of my 6 models. And so that sheet feeds into this result tracker here, which then feeds over into the Memoirs of Istvan sheet, which shows how many games each operative has played, who survived, and who died, which is a good thing to track, I guess. So in the time since we last were on here, my Compendium Tau team has had its index document finished. The bases have all been magnetized, and the data cards have had their images added. The same is true for the Pathfinders team. For my Compendium Chaos Marines, the Alpha Legion, and my new Death Guard team has also been taken to mostly a state of completion outside of decals and varnish. So let me go here under operative picks, because I'll show you this. I've changed all my Memoirs of Istvan name decals for 3D printed nameplates. And I'm going to make the same nameplates for all of my teams. I just don't have them printed yet, and I don't have images of any of the other nameplates right at present, so I only have that one example image to show right now of that. But let's go here. I suppose we'll start with the Tau, for they are my eldest kill team. And we'll go through the Compendium operative images. So we have 2 Fire Warrior Chasseouis, some Breachers and regular Fire Warriors, 3 Stealth Suits, the Missile Turret, and a host of drones. And then we have the Pathfinders team as well, which has the Chasseouis, Blooded, Drone Controller, Assault Grenader, Medic, Transpectral Interference, Communications, heavy gunner, heavy gunner, heavy gunner, heavy gunner, marksman, regular Shasla, and then a host of drones. And if we go out here and go to data cards, my teams, Tau, Hunter Cadre. So here we have the 300 DPI exports of the data cards. I did print the data cards for Memoirs of Istvan. And I found, for anybody who is using my templates, I found when printing them on my printer, Inkscape doesn't know what to do with margins. So the thing I had to do is I Googled my printer model to find out what the smallest margins that were possible on my printer were. And then I made a LibreOffice writer document. You could use Microsoft Word or whatever word processor you have. I set the page to 6 by 4, 6 inches by 4 inches, landscape, and then I set the margins to the smallest margins that were supportable by my printer, and I inserted the 20 data card images into that document, and then let Writer auto resize those images such that they now took the margin into account, and that got us the perfect data card sizing to be printed on the 6 by 4 index cards. And they don't look that bad actually when they're printed. So for the Tau here, for the Hunter Cadre, I'm not running any Pathfinders because I'm running all of those as my Pathfinder kill team. And I also made this data card here because there was a lot of special rules involved with drones and involved with marker lights that I just couldn't really easily fit on the data cards. So I made a Universal Special Rules data card that tells you how to deal with the artificial intelligence and the savior protocols for your drones, and then how to deal with marker lights, which are different depending on if you're playing Hunter Cadre or if you're playing Pathfinders. So you have that to go with your teams. And of course, if you want to see any of the cards in more detail, please pause the video. You have that. So we've got all of our Pathfinder data cards ready for when I want to print those and play my Pathfinders team. And then if we go back out here, we'll go to Operative Pictures, because I've also finished my Illuminated Compendium Chaos team. My Xerix Fenord Aspiring Champion, Icon Bearer, Plasma Gun, Meltagun. Obviously these name decals will be coming off or being gone over by the 3D printed ones now that I know how to do those, and my wife has a 3D printer now, so we can make those. A Heavy Bolter, Missile Launcher, Chainsword Warrior, Bolter Warrior, and their cultist backup, the Cult of the Ancient Muse, who have all taken the names of ancient Terran rock stars. Belinda, Holly, Anne, Tiffany, Joan, Grace, Susanna, Debbie, Martha, and Martika. And then I suppose we'll go to the Rusted Host, which are my tetanus-loving Plague Marines. I got these guys as my 7th team because my wife wanted to build Blooded as Chaos Cultists because she loved the Chaos Cult models but didn't like the rules from Ashes of Faith where the cultists all like mutate into these ugly, gross things. And she didn't like the Blooded models but liked the rules for Blooded, so she got some cultists to make Blooded, and thus I needed a 7th team. And I found locally I was able to acquire the Plague Marine Heroes box, so I was able to make them as my 7th team, which is nice because 7 being the sacred number of Nurgle and all. So we have my 2 aspiring champions, a Melta-Gun guy, Plasma Gun, Plague Belcher, Blight Launcher, Plague Spewer, the Axe and the Mace, the Flail, the big Plague Cleaver, 2 Plague Knives, Icon Bearer, just a regular Bolt Gun Warrior guy, and another Bolt Gun Warrior guy, and then the Plague Caster that I'm not allowed to field and kill team unless I were to run these as a Legionary team. I could call him a Balefire Acolyte, but since I already have a Wordbearer's Legionary team I'm working on, I'm not about to do that. I just thought he was too cool of model to sell and too awesome to not paint up, so I painted him up, and he's not part of the team, but he's here. So I guess we'll go back over to the data cards and we'll go to my teams and we'll go to Chaos. And let's do the Illuminated first, I guess. So we have Xerix Fëanor and Octavius Melkor and Quintus the Shadowed, Zell Ekron, Urinor Drexel, Victor Frang, Jarvis Krell, Kolas Golab, Ingvar Poang, Davri Zan, and then Belinda, Holly, Anne, Tiffany, Joan, Grace, Susanna, Debbie, and Martha and Martika for my Loyalist Alpha Legion, who use Chaos Cultists to lure Sisters of Battle because the Ecclesiarchy follow Litigio Divinitatis, which is a book written by Lorgar Aurelian and is thus a heretical text. So they are attempting to eliminate the Ecclesiarchy and free the Imperium from the Imperial cult. And in this case, these cultists, they found ancient Terran music recordings in a computer database on their colony world, and they took the names of the ancient Terran female rock stars that were on those recordings and ran with them. So that is those guys, and then we have the Rusted Host, which are all named for various toxic places, contaminated places, or people associated with contamination, or characters associated with contamination, or that kind of thing. So Thrombus and Ulcerus, the 2 Plague Champions, Karche Slagfiend, my Gunner, Malarius Fever Guide, the Plasma Gunner, Novichok Blight Cloud, Eximus the Poxmonger, Vulgaris Gloomspew, Oziorsk Myakar, Repugnus the Corruptor, Festus Blight Reaper, Saren the Creeping Death, Ignis Bloatworm, Glox Pestulus, and Covidicus Grell. So they're all, I picked them because A, the models are cool, and B, it gives me a good connection in that because they're Death Guard, And the Death Guard are what Memoirs of Istvan, or at least what a quarter of Memoirs of Istvan, are trying to find and hunt and kill. It made sense. I like to have my teams have at least some connection to one another. So that is why I picked to have a Death Guard team for my 7th team. As you can see here on the progress totals, my legionaries, I haven't done anything more since we were last here, except the data cards. There's 16 legionaries, and they're all counted as half done, so that makes 8 points, because they all just need the image put in the data card. My Tyranids, they are not really any further along than they were. And then the Death Guard, my Rusted Host. And my wife has expressed interest in getting another Space Marine team, to have another Space Marine team, which would give her 8 teams, which would mean I would need an 8th team. So I put a sheet in here just to experiment with what a Wormblade list might look like, but that's way in the future. That's not anytime soon. I want to get more games in first, and I want to get all the gray off of my existing teams and get the existing teams finished and built and all that fun jazz. So yeah. Oh, and down here on the on here, this was just some sort of temporary stuff I put in about who the main opponent of each of the teams was and why it was why each of them was fighting and that kind of stuff. So nothing too fancy and nothing too permanent, I guess. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. Marika hasn't finished much more of her teams other than assembling and starting to paint on her blooded roster, which are all made out of Chaos Cultist models. They look pretty good. Pretty cool models. Though she did buy the Enforcer and the Ogryn. She bought the actual 2 models that come in the blooded kit for those, because there wasn't really a good way to make an Ogryn that we could find that was not like, because she has a 3D printer now, but she doesn't want to 3D print whole models, because we'd like our teams to be playable more places than not. And our town just got a GW recently, and with a GW we sort of have to, if we want to play at the GW, we have to use GW models. I mean, it's totally fine for her to play blooded and proxy GW Chaos Cultists as blooded. That's fine, because they're GW models. But she needed a GW Ogryn for that reason. So she got the Ogryn and the Commissar from the actual blooded team, because they don't look too far out compared to her cultists that she has. But yeah, that's the hobby update from our end of things for July 2023, and all the fun stuff going on. I would like to get out and play some more games. They do a kill team night every Friday at the local GW, and that's where I went for the one game that I did play. But I've been so busy with other stuff around the house and, adult responsibilities. So I haven't had a chance to get back, but hopefully one of these Fridays coming up here, I will be able to head back down there and take my Death Watch again, or maybe even take one of my other teams and play a more full game of Kill Team with like Tac Ops and all those fun extras that we left out in the spirit of learning last time. I really did have fun though, I must say, with that game against the Grey Knights. I discovered, because we were playing on an open board, I discovered that a heavy bolter on a vantage point does a lot of good work, actually. And your opponent kind of has to keep his guys well hidden, otherwise they eat a volley of brass from your heavy bolter. That and the AP2 from the plasma gun, I surprised myself. I didn't roll a single one for my overheating plasma gun all game, which was nice. So that if my experience with big 40k in the past holds, that is not what I should be expecting. I oftentimes had guys who fried themselves with their own plasma guns, so I was pleasantly surprised when nobody fried themselves. Well, the one guy. Well, no, I guess my Aspire, or oh no, my leader didn't have a plasma pistol. He was let's go here. Where was it? Memoirs of Istvan. So I took Henri here with the Xenophase Blade and the Storm Shield as my leader, and I played Gordon Wilson with the plasma gun. Omid Gull, he had my heavy bolter, and then I took Kenji, the warrior, with the bolt gun and power weapon, Death Watch bolt gun, and then I took Ferdinand Torres, who's a stalker pattern bolt gun. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5. Oh yes, Franz Schultz, my fighter, with the lightning claw and bolt pistol. I took him as well. He died pretty quickly. He ate some Grey Knight shooting to the face, and yeah, it was not pretty. But yeah, anyways, I hope you're all having fun with your own hobby, and good luck to you with whatever your projects you're working on, and hope to come back with more updates more frequently. Have a great night.